You've tried to change before, maybe more than once. You set the goal. You bought the journal. You felt the motivation. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, it actually worked. Then it stopped. And you told yourself the same story you always tell yourself, that you're just not disciplined enough, that you don't have enough willpower, that some people are just built differently. But what if none of that is true? What if the reason your habits never stuck had nothing to do with discipline? What if you were just starting from the wrong place? James Clear spent years studying why habits form, why they break, and what separates the people who change permanently from the people who change temporarily. And what he found goes deeper than goal setting, deeper than routines, deeper than motivation. It goes all the way down to identity, who you believe you are. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Your habits don't shape your identity. Your identity shapes your habits. And if you want to change your life, truly change it, you have to start there. Clear describes 3 layers of behavior change. Think of them like the layers of an onion. The outermost layer is outcomes, what you get: losing weight, making money, writing a book. The middle layer is processes, what you do: going to the gym, saving a percentage of your income, writing 1 page a day. And the deepest layer, the core of the onion, is identity, what you believe about yourself. Most people start from the outside. They pick a goal, they build a routine around it, and they hope the results come. That's outcome-based thinking. And it works until it doesn't. Because the moment the motivation fades, the routine collapses, and you're back to where you started, wondering what went wrong. Clear says the most effective people do it differently. They start from the inside. They don't ask, what do I want to achieve? They ask, who do I want to become? That single shift changes everything. Here's why identity is so powerful and so dangerous if you get it wrong. Your identity creates your habits, and your habits reinforce your identity. It's a loop, and it runs constantly in the background of your life, whether you're aware of it or not. If you believe you're an unhealthy person, you make unhealthy choices. Those choices confirm the belief. The belief tightens its grip. If you believe you're bad with money, you spend impulsively. The spending confirms the story. The story becomes your reality. This is what Clear calls identity conflict. When your goal points one direction, but your identity points the other, identity wins every time. You can want to be fit while believing you're lazy. You can want to save money while believing you're bad with it. You can want to write while believing you're not creative. And those beliefs will quietly, invisibly, sabotage every effort you make. But the loop works the other way too. And that's where the real hope lives. Clear introduces one of the most powerful ideas in the entire book. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Not a declaration, not a resolution, a vote. When you read 10 pages today, you cast a vote for being a reader. When you go for a walk instead of sitting on the couch, you cast a vote for being someone who moves their body. When you save $5 instead of spending it, you cast a vote for being financially responsible. When you write 1 paragraph, you cast a vote for being a writer. Now here's the part people miss. You don't need unanimous votes. You just need a majority. You're going to miss days. You're going to slip up. You're going to fall back into old patterns. That's not failure. That's human. What matters is the overall pattern. Are most of your votes going toward the person you want to become? Because identity isn't built in a single moment. It's built vote by vote, day by day, choice by choice. Small actions, repeated consistently, over time. That is how you rewrite who you are. Let me show you exactly what this looks like in practice. Clear shares an example that I think about all the time. 2 people are trying to quit smoking. Someone offers them both a cigarette. The first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." Those 2 responses sound almost identical. but they are completely different. The first person is still fighting their identity. They see themselves as a smoker who is resisting. The second person has already changed theirs. They are not a smoker. The cigarette has no claim on them. That's the power of identity-based change. You're not white-knuckling your way through willpower. You're simply acting in alignment with who you already are. The behavior becomes easy, not because it requires less discipline, but because it requires none. It's just what you do, because it's who you are. Now I want to address something directly, because I know what some of you are thinking. Goals work. I've seen goals work. What's wrong with setting goals? Nothing. Goals are useful. Goals give you direction. But goals have a flaw that most people never talk about. Goals create a finish line, and the moment you cross it, you stop. The person who sets a goal to lose 20 pounds works hard until the scale hits that number. Then the diet ends. The gym visits slow down. The weight comes back. Because they changed their behavior, but never changed their identity. They're still the same person inside, just temporarily acting differently. Clear says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are always a reflection of your identity. A person who identifies as healthy doesn't need a goal to eat well. It's not a challenge they're completing. It's an expression of who they are. That is the difference between temporary change and permanent transformation. So how do you actually do this? How do you build a new identity? Clear gives a process that is disarmingly simple. Step 1. Decide the type of person you want to become. Not the goal, the identity. Not, I want to run a marathon, but I want to become someone who runs. Not, I want to write a book, but I want to become someone who writes every day. Not, I want to be rich, but I want to become someone who manages money with discipline. Step 2. Prove it to yourself with small wins. This is where most people overcomplicate it. You don't need a massive habit. You need evidence. If you want to be a writer, write one sentence today. If you want to be fit, do one push-up. If you want to be organized, clean one drawer. That's it. That's the whole game at the start. Not because one sentence or one push-up will change your body or your career, but because every time you do it, you cast a vote. And votes build identity. And identity builds everything else. I want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. The story you tell yourself about yourself. Everyone carries one. I'm always late. I'm not creative. I'm bad at math. I'm not a morning person. I've never been athletic. These stories feel like facts. They feel like observations about reality, but they're not facts. They're conclusions you drew, often years ago, based on a handful of experiences. And you've been reinforcing them ever since with every choice that confirms them. Clear says the biggest barrier to positive change is identity conflict. Not lack of motivation, not lack of time, not lack of knowledge. The conflict between who you want to become and who you believe you already are. So the question isn't just, what habits do you want to build? The question is, are the stories you're telling yourself giving those habits room to grow? Or are they quietly strangling them before they ever take root? Because you will always, always act in alignment with your identity. Change the identity, and the behavior follows. Fight the identity while trying to change the behavior, and the identity wins. Here's what nobody tells you about building the right identity. It makes everything easier. Not easy, but easier. A person who genuinely sees themselves as healthy doesn't struggle to choose the salad. They're not using willpower. They're not white-knuckling temptation. They're just being who they are. A person who genuinely sees themselves as a reader doesn't have to talk themselves into opening a book. It's what they do. In the same way they brush their teeth, without debate, without negotiation. This is what Clear means when he talks about behavior becoming automatic. When your identity and your habits are aligned, there's no friction. The habit isn't something you do. It's an expression of who you are. And that That is when real transformation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. So let me ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with this. Who are you right now? Not who do you want to be, not who you were 5 years ago. What is the identity you are currently living from? Write it down if you can. The labels you carry, the stories you repeat, the beliefs you've never questioned. Then ask yourself, is that identity taking you where you want to go? Is it giving your habits room to grow? Or is it holding you back from becoming who you know you can be? Because here is the most important thing James Clear wants you to understand. Your identity is not fixed. It was never fixed. It has always been and will always be a collection of votes. Votes you cast every single day, with every single choice. So cast them intentionally. Cast them toward the person you want to become. One small action, one small win, one small vote at a time. Your identity is the foundation of your future, and you are building it right now, whether you realize it or not. Make the build intentional. If this gave you something today, subscribe to Greatness Quest Archive and share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next one.